Hello, welcome to the video. How are you? Well, today we're going to deal with gerunds and infinitives, okay? And when to use one or the other form of the verb. Let's begin with gerunds, yes? You know that gerund, we form the gerund by adding ing to the verb, okay? And let's see when we use this form. First of all, as the subject of the sentence, when I say swimming is good for your health, I am using swimming as the subject of the sentence. Swimming is good for your health. We are using the gerund, yes, when we begin the sentence with a verb in this case. The second use of the gerund is as the object of the sentence. For example, I like collecting stamps. I like collecting stamps. It is the object of the verb. Would you like collecting stamps? Yes, in that case it's the object. After some verbs, you know that there are some verbs that are followed by the gerund, and then we're going to see that there are some verbs followed by the infinitive. Some verbs are followed by the gerund. For example, I miss going fishing. I've postponed going to the dentist. I imagine living in Paris. Yes? So those verbs are followed by the gerund. And finally, after prepositions. Before going to school, I brush my teeth. Okay? Or I am interested in collecting seashells. Yes? Or are we afraid of climbing mountains? Yes? So after prepositions, we use the gerund. Okay? Let's see when we use the infinitive. Yes? The infinitive with to is used after certain verbs. For example, he decided to leave. I pretend to be a good person. Yes? Or I hope to see my boyfriend today. Yes? Well, some verbs are followed by the infinitive with to. Yes? At this point of your studies, you probably know and distinguish which verbs are used with the gerund and which ones with the infinitive. Yes? When students are beginning, they have to study the groups of verbs. Yes? And we use the infinitive after adjectives. It is easy to climb a mountain. It is hard to train every day. Yes? So after adjectives we use to plus the base form of the verb. But the difficulty comes when we can use both. Yes? Well, sometimes we can use the gerund or the infinitive with no change in meaning. For example, after start, begin, and continue, we can use ing or infinitive and it's the same. I can tell you, I started studying Italian, or I started to study Italian, and it's exactly the same. The meaning doesn't change. Yes? But in some cases, there is some difference in meaning, and well, in those cases, the difficulty appears. When there is a change, sometimes the change is slight. For example, with the verbs of like and dislike. Yes? So, for example, if I tell you, I prefer drinking coffee. I prefer drinking coffee. In that case, I am focusing on the pleasure and enjoyment of the action. Yes? On the fact that I prefer that. Whereas, if I tell you, I prefer to drink coffee because I am very tired. So in that case, I give extra information and the focus is not on the pleasure of drinking coffee. It's because I am tired in this case. Yes, it's more specific. But it's a very slight change, and if you use one or the other, basically it doesn't change. And now we have the third category, when there is a significant change in meaning, and you have to be very careful here. The first one is try. Try can be followed by to plus infinitive or the gerund, but the meaning is different. So for example, if I use try plus gerund, the meaning is to experiment in order to get some objective. Yes, to experiment. For example, if I have a headache, why don't you try resting for a while? Why don't you try having a cup of tea with an aspirin? So they are different alternatives, yes, to achieve an objective, which is to get better. Yes, but if I use try plus to plus infinitive is to attempt, yes, to perform a difficult action. So for example, he's trying to get into the competition, the marathon, yes, or he's trying to get a new job, so he's making all his efforts to get the job. Yes, so it's different. Let's see stop. When you use a stop plus ing plus the gerund, it's to finish an activity. Yes, if I tell you, I stopped studying. Yes, I couldn't study anymore. Yes, I finished the activity. He stopped smoking after his doctor told him it was very dangerous, so he didn't do it anymore. Stop talking when you're in a test, so don't talk anymore. I'm speaking of ending the activity. Whereas if I use a stop plus the infinitive, it means that I interrupted another activity to do this one. So for example, I tell you, he stopped to have a chat with me. He stopped whatever he was doing to have a chat with me. Yes? And in that case, I can combine both activities. I can tell you, Robert stopped working to have a chat with me. So stop working, gerund, he finished that activity. To have a chat with me, well, he interrupted the other one to do another activity, in this case, chat with me. Yes? Well, number 3, regret. Regret with ing, with the gerund, is when you are sorry about something that happened in the past. For example, I regret leaving university. Yes, now I feel sorry because I didn't continue my studies. Or I regret telling him my secret. Now everybody knows it. So I am sorry that I did that I told him my secret. Well, now regret plus to plus infinitive is when you are sorry about what you are going to say, and we use it with verbs of communication. I regret to tell you that you failed the exam. Yes, we regret to inform you that you have not been accepted for this position. It's always when you're going to give bad news. Yes? Number 4, yes, number 4. Forget and remember, both of them. When we use forget and remember with the gerund, it's to remember or not, to recall or not an action. Yes, for example, I will never forget going to the park with my grandfather. Yes, so I will never forget doing that action. I will always recall it. It's going to be in my mind. Yes? Or, do you remember closing the door? Do you remember if you did it? That's the action. But if I use remember or forget plus the infinitive, it's speaking of doing an action that you must do. Like, remember to do the homework. Yes, you have to remember that. It implies the future. Yes, remember to do it. Or, don't forget to lock the door when you leave. It's something that you have to remember to do. Yes? In the other one, we recalled the past. Here, you have to remember to do something. Or don't forget to do something. Number 5, go on. Go on plus ing plus the gerund, it's to continue an action. She went on speaking and speaking, so she continued speaking and speaking. With the infinitive is when you finish one activity and start another one. So after 2 hours, she went on to have a talk with another group. So she finished this talk and she went on to have a talk with another group. Yes? And the last one with this change in meaning is mean. Mean with the gerund means, valga la redundancia, involves. For example, being a teacher means correcting a lot of homework. Yes? Being a doctor means visiting a lot of patients every day. Yes? It involves. Now, with the infinitive, it means to intend, to have the intention. For example, I meant to phone you yesterday, but I had a terrible headache and I was in bed all afternoon. Or I meant to study for the test, but the electricity cut off and I couldn't. Yes, I had the intention. That is mean in this case. Is this clear? Then with the practice, it's going to be clearer. Okay? And finally, we have another difference in the use of a gerund or the infinitive, which is with the verbs of perception. See, feel, hear, etc. When you use ing, is when you consider part of the event. And when you use the infinitive, you consider the complete event. What is this? If I tell you, I saw a man crossing the street. I saw a man crossing the street. If I use ing, I only saw part of the action. I saw him crossing. He was crossing, but then I didn't know what happened. I just saw that. If I tell you, I saw the man cross the street, it means that I saw the complete action from one side to the other one. I saw the man cross the street and continue his way. Yes? So it has to do with that. Part or complete, the completeness of the action. Okay? Well, so this is what you are going to deal with now. You have to practice a lot to see the difference. But well, I hope you have understood it, and now with the practice it's going to be complete. Yes, the explanation is going to be useful, I hope. Okay? Well, I will see you in the next video. Good luck with that. Bye bye.